Greetings, the Astro 30 here yet again with what I hope is going to be an interesting video. I've got this, it's a Sony TC-WE465 stereo cassette deck, and I paid $22 from the Glenorchy tip shop, and all it says is tape faulty, which is meaningless. Is that mechanically faulty, electronically faulty? I put this around about the early 90s when this was actually made. It doesn't feature its own remote control, rather it uses the system control from off of the amplifier that used to go with this. You got your standard line in, line out connections, power cords still attached, and bonus blue tack. Pretty dirty, but nice soft eject. I want to see if these doors actually come off. Yes, they do. That way we can see the tape transport and see what this machine actually does. Right, it's plugged in. See. Oh, well that's interesting. Don't know what it was trying to do there. Put a cassette tape in. Well, that's not doing anything. The capstan's not spinning. Neither is this one. Okay, that's rather interesting. Well, it started to turn. Okay, looks like I'm going to have to pop the top off and have a look inside. Nice. Well, nothing immediately pops out at me, but they've got plastic flywheels, so it's a cheap tape deck. But it's got two separate motors, which is nice. So let me plug it in again. See, the motor started to spin, and then it stopped. Don't know what it was clicking for before. Okay. Yeah, something's not right with the mechanism. I sort of have to turn it off and back on again. So I press on music search. That is not right. Yeah, the transport's not turning on that one. Right, so let's see what tape deck B does. Same problem. Well, that's kind of annoying. Alright, well it looks like I'm going to have to pull the mechanisms out one by one. I might start with the B deck. Well, I've got deck B transport forced into play mode by just manipulating the solenoid on the back. There's a solenoid here with a lever, just pull it up and then rotate the flywheel. But I have noticed that belt that drives the supply reel clutch, or the supply and take up reel clutches, is slipping. It shouldn't be doing that. The main belt, Yeah, it's hard to tell at this stage whether that one's still alright, but that's going to be interesting to try and get the belt off that. Okay, I've got the main drive belt off, which is probably a little bit stretched. I should be able to take this one off now, I hope, without having to take the whole mechanism apart, because I don't really want to have to do that. There we go. Yeah, that's lost its elasticity. It's not as springy as it used to be. Let's see if I've got another belt like that. Right, that's way too big. That one's way too small. Well, the J-Carb belt kit does not include the right size belts. Now, what I ended up doing was boiling these. Don't know if it's going to make any difference, but the thing is, there's a post in here where the belt won't come off. You've got to take the cassette door off to get a screwdriver down these two holes to remove some screws. So, first I'll put that on. Actually, no, whilst the motor is out of the way, I did look online. You can actually get belt kits for this, which is amazing, which was what I might do in the end. Because, yeah, I don't necessarily know how well this is going to work. Alright, put that one roughly where it needs to go, which is there. I'll actually hook it onto the motor spindle. There's a post in here where the belt won't come off. You've got to take the cassette door off to get a screwdriver down these two holes to remove some screws. So first I'll put that on. Actually, no, whilst the motor is out of the way, I did look online. You can actually get belt kits for this, which is amazing, which was what I might do in the end. This is going to work. Totally missed the pulley again. Right, that's done up. That one's done up. So now I have to get this belt where it needs to go, because this one's stretched as well too. So that has to go. Have I got the belt wrapped around that post? No. There we go. Now, this is so fiddly. It's so awkward. Gotta try and get that to go. So that has to go around that pulley and around the back of that pulley. Okay, that's on. Right, before I put the cassette door back on, I've got a piece of cardboard on top of the circuit board with the mechanism just laying there. I've got the other cassette mechanism actually disconnected, so it's not going to be doing anything. Put the tape in. Well, okay, that was interesting. Yeah, no, Well, that seems to function. That just looks like normal fast forward to me. Yep, the belts are stuffed. Right, let's fast forward and rewind work. And auto stops works. So what I'm going to do is temporarily I might put it back together, and I'll actually order the belts for it. I did have a look online. You can get them for about $12.50 from China, so they're not that expensive. The only thing is it'll take weeks to get here. So in the meantime, I might actually clean the heads and stuff in this thing. Well, I have actually got it to play. All I did was just put my finger behind on the clutch and just spin it whilst it was trying to engage. And yeah, it engaged and now it's playing the tape. Albeit the counter is moving quite fast for whatever reason. As we can see, we've got VU meters there, so both the left and right channels appear to be being picked up. I'm going to try deck A. Alright. Still haven't cleaned the heads yet. Okay. There we go. Deck A appears to be playing as well. It just needs new belts. So that's the whole entire issue with this thing. Oh man, look at this one. Look at how that belt is just bouncing around there. That is really, really loose. But it is playing a tape, albeit I can hear a noise. Scraping noise of some description. Maybe I should hook it up to an amplifier and see if we get an output. Yep, that would be a yes. I don't want to play too much of that because that's Dean Martin and it would be copyright. So I'll just check that there's an output coming off of deck B. Yep. So this is what's happening at the back of, well, this is deck B. Oh, well, now it wants to play. Well, it didn't before. Well, that's annoying. You can see how that belt's slipping. I think I am going to get new belts though. So this is what's happening in tape deck A. You know, when I was a kid I was always fascinated by the tape transport turning around and watching the tape get bigger and bigger on the reels. Something kind of nostalgic about watching a tape rewind or fast forward. Yeah, so basically all it needs is new belts, even though this deck is going to play now. I don't know if boiling the belts a bit longer would help, but they are slipping, so it'd be better just to replace them. Okay then, so what I should probably do is clean the heads now. So all I do is I get in there with a cotton bud, so isopropyl alcohol, and just rub over the head surface. It's a bit awkward with this door in the way. There's a little bit of dirt coming off, not much. I do believe the deck was looked after, apart from the fact now the belts are slipping. So anyway, there's a bit of dirt coming off of it, but I can't really see, so I'm going to have to do this off camera. Alright, I've ordered the belt kit from China. It's like $12. The rest were like from United Kingdom, Poland. They wanted like $20 US postage. And probably, I think it was about £12 or something British for coming from United Kingdom. And I thought, nah, I'm not paying like close to 50-60 bucks for 4 belts. So it'll take about 2 weeks to get here. I've cleaned the tape path, the heads, and the pinch rollers and capstans up as best as I can in both decks. I'll do it properly once I've actually got the mechanisms back out, because it's on, the door will be off and I'll be able to get access to these pinch rollers. I can actually take them physically off to clean them. And I'm surprised you can still get a belt kit for this, which is amazing. So we'll pick this video up in a couple of weeks when I have the belt kit. I'll put the new belts in, clean it all up, and we'll test it again. But electronically, it's working fine. Just before we do that, it's actually got a pitch control on it. I think Dean Martin sounds better like that.
One eternity later.
Well, it's been about 2 weeks and the belts for the tape deck have shown up. There's 2 of each for both decks, so the main capstan drive belt and the clutch idler assembly drive belts. And it says, hey, look at this, product unsatisfied. That's good English. Problem not solved. Contact seller. Save seller. Yay. Click contact seller to get a free and efficient solution. Can't say that I've ever seen that before. Anyhow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the tape deck apart again, because I actually put it back together to, you know, store it. And I'm going to actually make it easier on myself by taking the front panel off of the unit itself, so I can have the front panel here on the desk. So that's what I'm going to do now, and then we'll get to changing the belts. Right, well, I've got the tape deck front panel off. Am I worried about where all these wires will connect to? No, not really. When you lay it back in the unit, it's pretty obvious where things will go. So that's obviously a power cord for the power switch, switching the AC main, so that's obvious where that goes. And yeah, it's not that difficult to work out. I've left all this bundle of wires with this well, this strap that's wrapped around them, unscrewed from the chassis, rather than just pulling them out from the board, because one goes into this circuit board here, which is for the audio record volume. So I apologise for how this is set up, it's awkward to film. I ended up with a screw over from somewhere which is taped to the front panel, but for the life of me I can't see where it goes, because this is the mechanism I took out the first time. It's the only mechanism I took out, and there's one screw there, one there, one there, and one there. Did I forget a screw out of a PCB somewhere? Because I don't recall taking a screw out of a PCB. So yeah, I've got this mysterious screw left over from somewhere. Don't know where it goes. Anyway, I'm going to start with one deck at a time. So I'm going to pull this deck out. Actually, I might just disconnect the heads from here. I'm going to pull this deck out first, and I did say deck, not the other word. So we unscrew it, and I push eject, take the front fascia off of the door, pull the mechanism out, like so, and I can then put the panel assembly to one side. So this is it here. So now the easiest way to deal with this cassette carrier door is to unscrew it, release the tension on the spring first, taking note of how it is sprung. So yeah, the spring sits here and sits on that tab there on this deck. The other deck's the mirror image of this. And then we just unscrew the bracket. This is most likely just going to fall to pieces when you do it. So, oh, I didn't need to actually undo that, it's come out. Okay, so I can pull that out. I don't need to take that bracket off, I'll leave it on actually. And then we get a good look at the mechanism here. Right, so when servicing these particular tape decks, not that they're used much anymore, you want to give the tape path a good clean, which is like the pinch rollers. I've already given it part of a clean, but it could use a little bit more. That pinch roller is not too bad. It looks more like the auto reverse function of this deck isn't used much. But the other thing is to put a drop of oil down the capstan bearing, which has just released this little clip thing that sits over it, the black thing, that will pull off the capstan, and then you can push it out through the other side. But we can see that there is a slight groove of tape crap worn into the capstan surface itself that may or may not clean off. I shouldn't need to take this PCB off, but I do need to disconnect the motor from the other side so I can get the belt off, because there's a little pillar, support pillar right here, which the belt goes on the other side of. So it's actually got that passing through the belt, so you'll never get the belt off with the motor still attached. So that's what I'll do now, is I will take out the 2 screws, which are already loose now because I've already done it once, which makes it slightly easier. Right, that releases the motor and the belt. And a screw just fell out of something. What did you fall out of? Oh, that's the other screw for the clamp on the other side. I thought it fell out of something. That's fine. So this is our main drive belt, and as we can see, it's a little bit stretched now. So I'll grab the new one. It does say that this belt kit does fit this particular model. So if we line the 2 belts up, we can see that they are pretty close to the same size. But that one's much more elastic. So we know that belt's stuff, so we can put that to the side. This other belt is a pain to get on and off, because there's a screw here that you've got to try and get the belt past. That's for the soft eject mechanism, so it might be in my best interest to just loosen that screw off to give it a bit of clearance there. Not worried too much about that wiring, just be careful not to stress it too much. Now, that comes off like that. So these are the belts I boiled, but yeah, as we can see, that did absolutely nothing. So I'll grab the new belt. It's slightly smaller, but it should do the job. I'm going to just temporarily retrofit this because I do want to pull the capstan / flywheel out to do the oil the bearing. And yeah, I've got to try and get it onto that pulley there, which is kind of awkward. So because I've got to pull the pulley out anyway, or the flywheel out anyway, I might just remove the clip. Bloody finally. Jeez. Right, I didn't do too much damage to that. Now that'll make it easier getting the belt around the pulley, like so. And then we put it around the idler, or the clutch pulley. And then that will sort itself out. Beautiful, and as we can see, it doesn't slip anymore. So if I was to stop the take-up reel from turning, the clutch still turns. So that's the whole entire point. Okay, so good. Well, we know that these 2 belts are going to work. So now I can put the capstan clip back on. And push it down, like so. Clean any excess oil that may be on the capstan's shaft off. Alright, and to get this main belt started, I'm going to put it where it needs to go, which is here in between this post and that post. And now I've got to get this to line back up, so that will sit somewhere there, and like that. There we go, that's how the motor would sit, I reckon. Maybe not, it's just totally come off. Okay, I think that's pretty good. So I'll get a screw in there to start it. It may take a little bit of a maneuver around to get the screw to actually thread into the motor where it's supposed to be. And now I have to find out where the bloody other screw is. It seems to have buggered off somewhere. And I, for the life of me, don't know where it is. It's gone. Great. Where did it go? It's still in the hole. Right. Get that nice and tight, nice and deep, boy, nice and deep. Right, that's tight. So now we need to route the belt. Well, it is actually a lot easier than one would think. Now, it basically goes around this pulley in a straight direction, so it doesn't actually twist or anything. So it's driving this one in one direction, and the other side of the belt just rests up against that other flywheel, so it will turn in the opposite direction. I believe that's the way it's supposed to turn, that direction. So now that when I operate the mechanism, maybe turn it the right way. I was turning the right way in the first place. There we go. The tape deck is now playing the tape. It's upside down, but yes, it is playing the tape. Okay, so we know that that mechanism is functioning now, so I can put it into stop modes. I believe that's stopped, yes. Now I've got the fun task of actually putting the door back on. So there was a screw I undid on this side, wasn't there? So I better tighten him back up before I forget to do it. Right, and so this goes that way. So that needs to screw onto that side. So I'll hook that into there first, leave him loose. And grab the screw that I just lost, and I'm going to, a bit like a Chinese puzzle, try and get this thing to line up where it needs to go so I can get the screw in there. Just think I've got to do this twice yet. There we go. So that screw is nice and tight, just drop the mechanism, yeah, no problem. Then I just tighten this side. It's probably about as tight as it's going to get it. It shouldn't really move that much. And then, as long as that spring is sitting here where it should be, once I put pressure on this side, it now soft ejects. So that's with the door closed. Activate the lever. Door opens. Right, so that mechanism's ready to go. I haven't greased anything in here because, well, it doesn't really need it, but you can if you want. So I'll have to leave that open to get the deck back in. But all I've got to do now is just do the same procedure on the second deck and then just put the whole thing back together. Okay, the tape deck is back together now. I just want to check that the thing still operates. I'm still no closer to figuring out where that loose screw goes. Can't see anything. Nothing unusual happened there. try deck B. Plate. And there it is playing there. Isn't that special? Transport is turning. VU meters are doing something. So let's try fast forward. It seems to be doing something, but I can't really see the tape very well. Yeah, it's moving. Okay, auto reverse, or reverse direction, as I say. Yeah, I believe that's playing backwards. Feels like it. It's because I can't really see it. I can just with the viewfinder. Yeah, it's going in the correct direction. So we go in the normal direction. Yep, that deck is functioning fine. So let's see if it auto stops at rewind. Yep, perfect. Check the A deck now. Fast forward. Yes. Rewind. Yep. Auto reverse play appears to be working. Normal forward play appears to be working. And the auto music function seems to, or automatic search function, auto music search function, I'll get it right in a minute, seems to also function. So we'll see if it picks up the next track. Apparently, and the VU meters appear to be doing something, so all well and good. Reverse direction's working, and this deck doesn't appear to have pause on it. Only the record deck has pause. Oh well. There we go. So what I should do is probably connect it up to an amplifier and see if it is still outputting sound, which it should be. If the VU meters are working, then it will. If it was outputting sound before, it should still be outputting sound. And then the next thing I want to do is I want to record a test tone on this deck. I have no idea if the speed is correct on this machine, but the two play back at the same speed on either side, so, well, they did at least with the bad belts.
Welcome to my world.
That would be a yes.
Won't you come on in?
Can't.
Miracles, I guess.
I can't hear that much of a difference in speed.
Still,
They sound like they're running at the same speed. So I haven't seen one of these in years. I bought this off of eBay for about $9, brand new. It's just a normal Type 1 tape. Open is there. Now we're getting somewhere. Yay. Brand new TDK tape. I've not seen one of these in probably about 15 years. Oh, there we go.
built with you in mind. See,
Okay.
built with you in mind.
Record's fine. Right, so next I want to record a speed calibration. So I've got the oscillator set to around about 3 kilohertz, and I'm just going to set up a stopwatch so I can time it for 5 minutes. Okay, and I'll come back when it's recorded because I want to adjust the pitch center speed properly on the A deck. That's odd. The left channel's just slowly buggered off. Okay, well that's not really relevant for what I'm doing. I'll just test the right hand channel output, I guess. Alright, there appears to be something wrong with the input circuitry over here. It just fades out after a while. It might be a bad capacitor. That's something else I've got to look into later. Not really interested in pulling the board out right now. So just listen to see how much wow and flutter there is. Quite a bit. Right, so I'll just only scope the right output. As we can see, the signal is moving up and down just a tad. But we're around about 3125 kilohertz. So I'll swap the decks. Right, it's about the same, so I'll put it into the pitch control. See how that dropped off a little? Put it back to normal. So I want to align that so when that's in the center, it's roughly the same as the normal playback speed. So the adjustment for the pitch is that control there. F off. Right, so I've got a screwdriver. Off. So I'll get a screwdriver ready. Put it into pitch control mode. And I just cracked it up a little. And they're roughly the same now. That's all it took, was a little crack. I figured out what the problem is with the left hand recording. It's this control. The level control. It's a bit dirty because the right buggered off there for a second too, until I wound the control up. So what I might do is I might pop this PCB out from behind and yeah, just service the pot, make sure the joints are good, etc. And yeah, then this deck should be good. I think that's fixed it now. Right, that's the left. That's the right. There seems to be a tiny bit of a discrepancy in the two gangs of the pot, but that's probably normal for a cheap pot. Yeah, that one's dropped off now. Why can't it stay on the Dolby symbol? Sorry. Yeah, that's about good. I'll leave that sitting there for about 5 minutes and then I think we can conclude this video. Right, so there we have it. We still have an issue with this recording level control not functioning the way it should. So I don't know what the issue is, but for a couple of new belts it's good for another 10 years until the electronics completely fails. So anyway, I'm going to end this video here. If you enjoyed it, please remember to rate, comment and subscribe below. And you can always follow me on Facebook. The links are in the description as usual. Anyway, this is the Astro 30 saying, see ya. Have a great day.
That's all the time we have now. Now, make sure you tune in next week, or